Remember that feeling? Remember when a fast food burger actually felt like a genuine treat? When the beef tasted like real beef and the bun wasn't soggy before you took your second bite? We've all watched the quality slide downhill while the prices just keep climbing higher and higher across Canada. You spend your hard-earned Canadian dollars and get something utterly disappointing in return. It feels like the brands we grew up with, the names we've trusted for decades in this country, are losing their way completely. The question is simple. In today's world, who is still getting it right? Where is it still worth spending your time and your money? And more importantly, who has fallen so far you wouldn't even recognize them anymore? Today, we're settling it once and for all. We've dug through what real Canadians are saying online to rank burger chains from coast to coast, from the absolute worst to the very best options. Will your old favorite be crowned the king? Or is it languishing at the bottom of the list? Stick with us to find out the truth. We're starting at the very bottom with the worst of the worst. And I have a feeling this one might surprise you. Or maybe it won't surprise you at all. You ready for the truth? Let's get into it right now. Coming in at dead last is a name that's going to absolutely break hearts from Vancouver to Street John's. It's McDonald's Canada. I know exactly what you're thinking right now. For so many of us growing up in this country, those golden arches represented something magical. They were our first taste of fast food heaven and childhood joy. The happy meals with toys we collected, the birthday parties at the play place where we made memories, those special childhood moments that felt so important. But we have to be brutally honest with ourselves about the current reality. This is 2025, and the burger we once loved and remembered so fondly seems to be a mere shadow of its former self these days. They say they've made big changes this past year trying to improve, caramelizing the patties differently, respacing those sesame seeds more carefully on the buns. But according to the actual people eating them across Canada every single day, it just doesn't seem to have moved the needle at all. The complaints are absolutely everywhere you look online from coast to coast. The beef patties are tiny and somehow getting even smaller with time. It genuinely feels like they're shrinking with every passing year that goes by. They're greasy and unappetizing, made from frozen meat, and often assembled so incredibly sloppily, it looks like it was literally thrown in the box from across the entire restaurant kitchen. And let's not forget that sad, pathetic, cold slice of cheese that looks like it's never seen a single moment of actual heat or melting. One frustrated Canadian person summed up the general feeling perfectly when they wrote this devastating review. The only thing I've had worse than this McDonald's burger is elementary school cafeteria food back in the day during lunch period. Ouch. That's harsh but brutally honest feedback. But here's where it gets a little weird and strangely interesting. It seems the only way people are really genuinely enjoying a McDonald's burger these days is by building their own creative Frankenstein-style creations completely off the regular menu. There's a whole dedicated, passionate fan base online for something called the Mac Gangbang creation. Yes, you heard that ridiculous name absolutely right. They take a hot and spicy McChicken sandwich, ditch the bun completely and throw it away, and shove the chicken patty right in the middle of a double cheeseburger stack. One person even advises his followers not to waste that leftover McChicken bun, but to stuff it completely full with French fries for a unique chicken-flavored fry sandwich experience. The sad fact that customers have to go to these extreme creative lengths to fix and improve the product tells you absolutely everything you need to know about the current state of things at McDonald's. So, with McDonald's firmly planted in last place, you have to wonder who could possibly be right above them, barely escaping. Which brand just barely escaped the bottom spot in Canada? Well, let's just say this clearly. The king might need to check his crown right now. Let's see who is hanging on desperately. That's right, folks, from across this great nation. Coming in just barely above McDonald's at the second worst spot. Just barely edging out its old childhood rival is Burger King locations scattered across Canada from British Columbia to Newfoundland. This was the great debate of our Canadian youth growing up, wasn't it? The golden arches versus the flame-broiled taste promise they advertised. For years and decades, have it your way became a cultural catchphrase, and the promise of a juicy, thick flame, grilled Whopper made Burger King a heavy, serious contender in the ongoing burger wars. But these days, in 2025, the main problem with Burger King isn't that it's always consistently bad every single time. The real problem is, it's completely unpredictable from one location to another location. Ordering a burger at any Burger King in Canada is a genuine roll of the dice that could go either way. Canadian fans across social media call it meh or mid at best, And even the most loyal long-time customers who grew up with the brand admit they might just be going there out of pure lifelong nostalgic habit rather than actual quality. The massive inconsistency is what drives people absolutely crazy and frustrated. One location might somehow put out a picture-perfect burger that looks like the advertisement, while the location in the next town over, or even across the street, hands you a complete total disaster. One particularly revealing Canadian story summed up the entire experience perfectly and painfully for everyone. A user recalled getting what he called a unicorn Whopper one special time at their regular local Burger King location. He wrote emotionally, "I honestly almost shed a genuine tear having it that particular day. It felt like a genuine gourmet restaurant experience I would pay $20 for." That's the glimmer of hope, right? That's what we all desperately want from fast food. But when he went back enthusiastically a few weeks later to the exact same location, expecting the same quality, he said with disappointment it was exactly like eating an old dirty sock somebody found behind a dumpster. From a gourmet restaurant experience to an old, disgusting sock at the exact same physical location with the same staff. That seems to be the absolute heart of the Burger King problem in Canada. It sounds like the famous Double Whopper could legitimately be one of the best burgers out there available in Canada, but only if you somehow find that one almost mythical unicorn location that actually gets it right consistently. As one increasingly frustrated user put it clearly and simply, "It's only good at the specific Burger King near my house location. Every single other one I've tried is complete and utter garbage." So we have disappointment, and what's the problem with the next brand? Well, this chain famously asked the memorable question, "Where's the beef?" But now fans seem to be asking a very different question. Where did the quality go? Let's see who's up next on our list. Where's the beef? Oh yeah, every Canadian remembers that absolutely iconic, memorable commercial campaign. It put Wendy's permanently on the North American pop culture map forever. And coming in at the next disappointing spot, it seems like Wendy's is still desperately trying to coast on that old nostalgic reputation from decades ago now. For decades and decades, their competitive edge was crystal clear to everyone. Fresh, never frozen beef, straight from the farm, and those distinctive square patties that look different. And of course, there was Dave Thomas himself, the genuinely friendly founder who was the heart and soul of the entire brand personality. But there's a common widespread feeling among Canadians from coast to coast that ever since Dave passed away suddenly back in 2002, things began a slow, sad fade into mediocrity. One particularly observant commenter pinpointed the exact timeline precisely, saying with certainty, "Wendy's hasn't been legitimately good since Dave died suddenly and unexpectedly." They went noticeably downhill right after they launched the Baconator menu item as their flagship. That original promise of fresh, never frozen beef is technically still there on paper, but it just doesn't seem to be nearly enough anymore these days to make up for everything else. Canadian people complain constantly that the burgers look incredibly messy and sad nowadays when you open the wrapper. They absolutely didn't like the Dave's rebranding of the burgers at all when it happened, feeling it was a weak, transparent attempt to cash in on the nostalgic past and Dave's legacy. The overall general feeling is just pure malaise and disappointment. People still eat there occasionally out of convenience, but nobody seems to be excited or passionate about it anymore. And for many long-time devoted Canadian fans, there's one very specific concrete reason for the dramatic decline they all mention repeatedly: the bun. That's absolutely right. The bun changed everything for the worse. One particularly nostalgic user remembered clearly and fondly, "I used to genuinely love Wendy's when they had the special Boz buns back then that were quality." He's talking about back around 2013 when they introduced that noticeably higher quality bun option from a better supplier, but then they deliberately swapped them out for much cheaper ones to cut costs and increase profit margins. And as he put it simply and sadly, it just isn't good anymore at all compared to back then. It's a classic textbook case of cutting corners to save money, and the customers noticed immediately what happened and never forgot. So, we've covered 3 of the giants, and the story seems to be one of decline and disappointment across the board. But our next brand is a different beast entirely in Canada. It's been around serving Canadians with a unique approach. This next one has history, but does that mean it's actually good? Let's find out who's holding down the next spot on this list. Alright. At this particularly disappointing spot, we have a brand that proudly claims to be uniquely and authentically Canadian in so many ways. This is a name that should honestly make us proud as Canadians. It's Harvey's. If you're Canadian and grew up here, you absolutely know the slogan by heart from childhood. A beautiful thing happens at Harvey's, and their whole entire appeal has always been centered around customization and choice. The famous choose-your-own toppings bar-style experience. They flame broil their burgers over open flames supposedly. They proudly use 100% Canadian beef from Canadian farms. They let you build it your way with fresh toppings and vegetables. This should be a clear winner, right? This should definitely be much higher on this entire list. But here's the incredibly disappointing truth that Canadians across the country have discovered over and over. The patty itself is the fundamental problem that ruins absolutely everything else about the experience. One particularly brutal taste tester put it perfectly and devastatingly. He wrote with disappointment, "Harvey's has nice fresh buns and excellent fresh toppings and fresh vegetables sliced daily." It's like they spent so much time and effort slicing vegetables perfectly and creating condiments and sauces that they completely forgot about the actual beef patty. The patty tastes exactly like a frozen supermarket patty that was microwaved quickly, not genuinely flame broiled over flames at all, despite their claims. There is such a stark juxtaposition of greatness and absolute grossness going on at the same time in the same burger. The freshest of ingredients are literally smothering a highly processed mystery meat patty that was fooling absolutely no one who tried it. It looks like a child's Fisher-Price plastic toy hamburger, and it tastes about the exact same as plastic. This would honestly be a genuinely good sandwich if you removed and took out the patty entirely and just ate the vegetables. That's the absolute tragedy and heartbreak. A proudly Canadian institution completely let down by the single most important part of a burger. The beef itself is terrible quality. So Harvey's falls short where it matters most. But what about the next brand on our list? This is a chain that specializes in frozen treats. You go there for blizzards and soft serve cones, but believe it or not, they're making burgers too. Are they any good? Let's find out who's surprising some Canadians. Okay, let's be completely honest here. When you think of Dairy Queen, you think of ice cream desserts. You think of a blizzard being flipped upside down dramatically, a frozen dilly bar on a hot summer day. You are definitely not thinking of a great quality burger. But believe it or not, coming in at this spot, we have Dairy Queen. And they are quietly making some decent burgers that people actually like. The secret, it seems, is a little bit of spicy heat. People rave about one burger in particular at DQ, the Flamethrower Stack Burger. It's a third-pound burger, and the star of the show is their signature spicy orange sauce. One fan put it poetically and passionately. I don't know what it is about their sauce exactly, but I'll walk to China on my elbows for a jar of that stuff. Turns out that secret sauce is supposedly a simple mix of Tabasco hot sauce, garlic seasoning, and mayo together. A simple combination, but it's clearly working some magic on taste buds. But here's the catch with Dairy Queen locations across Canada. Much like Burger King, it can be a gamble depending on location. The quality can vary wildly from one location to another location. Some people say their burgers are awesome and delicious. Others say they're terrible and disappointing. That seems to depend heavily on the care taken by the employees at your specific local store. And there's another interesting factor, the guilty pleasure element. People seem almost embarrassed to admit they like Dairy Queen's burgers publicly. One user wrote defensively, "I enjoy Dairy Queen burgers. Go ahead, shame me for it." And of course, the internet did just that without mercy. But the fact is, enough people secretly love them to land Dairy Queen in the middle of the pack. So, an ice cream shop has beaten some of the big traditional burger boys. But our next brand is truly Canadian through and through. This is the chain that might surprise you. It's a brand that's everywhere, that markets itself heavily, but when it comes to the actual burger, let's see what Canadians really think about this next one. This is a brand that markets itself as premium and superior, as higher quality and better than competitors, as worth the significant extra money you pay at checkout. They talk constantly about grass-fed beef in their advertising. They talk about sustainability and ethical sourcing practices. They want you to believe strongly you're getting something special and different and better. It's A&W Canada. Now, before all the passionate A&W fans come after me aggressively in the comment section below, let me be crystal clear and completely fair to them. A&W Canada is independently owned and operated separately from the American A&W company entirely. They've made genuinely admirable efforts over the years. They use grass-fed beef from Canadian farms. They eliminated plastic straws before it was trendy. They have real ceramic plates and glass mugs instead of disposable items wastefully. That's all genuinely admirable and appreciated by environmentally conscious customers. But here's the fundamental problem that Canadians are discovering when they actually bite into the actual burger itself and chew. The price to quality ratio just doesn't add up anymore in 2025. A&W has become one of the most expensive fast food options in the entire country by far. You're paying premium sit-down casual restaurant prices for what is still ultimately fast food service and quality. One frustrated Canadian wrote honestly and openly, "I love A&W in theory and what they stand for. But when I'm paying $15 or $16 for a single teen burger combo meal, it better absolutely blow my mind completely and change my life." And it just doesn't deliver on that premium promise at all. The burgers are good, not great or amazing. The seasoning is consistent across locations. Yes, that's true. The beef is grass-fed as advertised. Yes, that's also true. But it's not $15 combo good by any stretch. It's not worth the significant premium price they're charging customers. And that's where A&W falls short dramatically in 2025. They've priced themselves completely out of the value proposition equation entirely. When you can easily go to a local independent burger joint and get a noticeably better burger for the exact same price or even less money, why would any reasonable person choose A&W? That's the question Canadians are asking themselves increasingly. So A&W falls into the middle because the value just isn't there anymore. But what about budget options? What if you just want something cheap and quick? Our next brand promises low prices. But what are you really getting? Let's find out what Canadians think about this one. If you're looking for the cheapest burger you can find in Canada, this is probably where you'll end up eventually. It's whatever random location is closest. Maybe it's a gas station burger. Maybe it's a convenience store offering. Maybe it's one of those no-name chains that pop up in small towns. The bottom line is this. When you're paying rock-bottom prices for a burger in Canada, you're getting exactly what you paid for. Mystery meat patties. Questionable freshness. Buns that taste like cardboard. These aren't burger restaurants, they're just places that happen to sell something vaguely burger-shaped. The burgers look like they were assembled by someone who's never actually seen a burger before in their life. Canadian travelers know this pain well. You're driving through rural Ontario or Saskatchewan. You need food. Your options are limited to a gas station or nothing. You take the gamble. You immediately regret it. One Canadian summed it up perfectly. "I've had better burgers from a high school cafeteria. At least those were hot when you got them." That's the level we're talking about here. These bottom-tier options exist only because of convenience and desperation, never quality. So, we've covered the worst of the worst in Canada. Now let's talk about the few chains that are actually getting it right. The ones that are worth your time and worth your Canadian dollars. We're going to reveal the 2 burger chains in Canada that are actually worth it. The 2 that deliver on quality, consistency, and value. But first, let's talk about one more disappointment. One more chain that should be better but just isn't delivering. This next one might surprise you because it's beloved in other countries. Let's see how it performs in Canada. Five Guys burgers and fries. The American import that promised fresh, never frozen beef cooked to order, hand-cut fries cooked in peanut oil, and unlimited customizable toppings. When they first came to Canada several years ago, people were genuinely excited about the arrival. Finally, quality burgers at a fast, casual price point, we thought. But then the harsh reality hit Canadian customers hard in the wallet. The prices. Oh my goodness, the absolutely outrageous prices at Five Guys in Canada. A bacon cheeseburger with fries and a regular drink will easily cost you 25 to 30 Canadian dollars at Five Guys locations across the country. 25 to 30 dollars. For fast food served in paper bags, that's not a typo or exaggeration. That's the actual real price you'll pay at checkout. And while the burger is admittedly good quality, while the hand-cut fries are solid and plentiful, while the toppings are indeed free to customize, it's absolutely not $25 good by any reasonable measure. Not even remotely close to justifying that price point for fast food. Canadians are paying absolute premium prices for what amounts to a decent burger that you could legitimately get better versions of elsewhere for less money. One Canadian put it bluntly and honestly, without holding back. Five Guys prices are completely out of control in Canada compared to America. You could easily go to a real sit-down restaurant and get a better quality burger for the exact same price or less. Why would I ever choose Five Guys when the value isn't there? That's the fundamental question everyone asks. When the entire value proposition breaks down completely, when you're charging actual sit-down restaurant prices for fast food service and atmosphere, you lose customers permanently. The quality is definitely there in the ingredients. The freshness is there as advertised, but the absurd price makes it completely impossible to recommend to anyone. Five Guys in Canada has priced itself entirely out of the market completely and totally. So now we've covered the disappointments and the overpriced options. Now it's time for the good news, the two chains that are actually getting it right in Canada. The two that deliver on quality, consistency, and most importantly, value. These are the burger chains worth your time. Let's start with number 2 on our list of actual recommendations. If you're still watching and finding these details valuable about Canadian burger chains, I'd really appreciate it if you'd leave a comment below just to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I hope you'll consider subscribing and ringing that bell so you don't miss a thing. Your support is what allows us to keep creating helpful content to inform and inspire you about food in Canada. Now, let's get to the good stuff. Coming in at number 2 for burgers actually worth it in Canada today. This is a chain that started humbly in Toronto, Ontario, and has spread across the country slowly and deliberately. They're not flashy or loud. They don't have massive advertising marketing budgets. They just focus on making a really solid, excellent burger at a fair, reasonable price consistently. It's Hero certified burgers. If you haven't heard of Hero yet, you're not alone at all. They fly completely under the radar compared to the big chains with national advertising. But Canadians who've actually tried them know the secret truth. They use certified Canadian Angus beef that's fully traceable back to farms. You can literally scan a QR code and see exactly where your specific beef came from originally. They focus heavily on sustainability and quality sourcing practices. And most importantly for taste, the burgers actually taste really good and deliver on the promise made. The Hero Burger is a perfect example of execution. It's a classic burger done absolutely right. Fresh quality toppings, well-seasoned beef patty, a bun that doesn't fall apart halfway through eating. Nothing fancy or gimmicky, just fundamentals executed at a genuinely high level consistently. One Canadian fan described it perfectly and accurately. Hero delivers what Harvey's promises but completely fails to deliver on. It's a burger that tastes like it came from a backyard grill cookout, not a microwave in the back. The prices are reasonable and fair. Not cheap bottom dollar, but fair for the quality you receive. You're paying around $12 to $14 for a combo meal. That's in line with A&W pricing, but the burger is noticeably better in quality and taste, and the consistency is there across locations. Every Hero location seems to maintain the same quality standards and training. You know what you're getting every time. That's valuable and rare. That's worth it. Hero Certified Burgers earns its spot as number 2 because it delivers exactly what Canadian burger lovers genuinely want and deserve. Quality beef, fresh ingredients, fair prices, consistency. No gimmicks or tricks, just a really good burger every single time. So Hero Certified Burgers takes the number 2 spot for burgers worth it in Canada, but there's one chain that rises above all the rest. One burger chain in Canada that consistently delivers the best experience, the best quality, the best value. After everything we've discussed, after all the disappointments and overpriced options, there's one clear winner. The undisputed champion of burger chains in Canada. Who is it? Let's find out right now. And then there was one final champion. And then there was one champion standing, the moment we've all been patiently waiting for. The crown for the absolute best burger chain in Canada goes to South Street Burger. That's absolutely right. This Canadian chain that started in Toronto takes the well-deserved top spot and deserves every bit of recognition. If you've never had a South Street burger, you're genuinely missing out on what a Canadian burger chain should be. South Street does everything right. Let's start with the fundamentals. They use premium fresh Canadian beef exclusively. Not frozen, not processed mystery meat, real beef from Canadian farms. They char-broil their burgers over real flames daily, not on a griddle like most chains. Actual char-broiling that adds incredible flavor and texture. Testing has shown their method adds less fat and calories than griddle cooking. That's a genuine win. The toppings are fresh and seemingly endless. You can customize your burger however you want. Real cheese, not processed slices. Cheddar and Swiss sliced from the actual brick. They even have pulled pork poutine for the adventurous. And get this, gluten-free buns are available. Their fries are cooked in trans-fat-free sunflower oil. They're crispy and delicious. But what truly sets South Street Burger apart is the remarkable consistency across all locations. Every location maintains the same exact high standards, the same quality, the same attention to detail. One Canadian summed it up beautifully. South Street Burger is what A&W wishes it could be. It's what Harvey's should be. It's a burger that tastes like it came from a real grill, made with care, at a price that actually makes sense. The average price for a meal is $10 to $12. Reasonable, fair, worth it. When you bite into a South Street burger, you taste the difference immediately. The char from the flame, the quality of the beef, the freshness of the toppings. Everything works together in harmony. It's not trying to be gourmet, it's not trying to be cheap, it's trying to be excellent, and it succeeds every single time. South Street Burger wins because it understands what Canadians actually want from a burger chain. Quality ingredients sourced from Canada, proper cooking technique that enhances flavor, fair prices that reflect value. Consistency you can count on. Friendly service, no gimmicks, no tricks, just excellent burgers made the right way. That's why South Street Burger is the undisputed king of burger chains in Canada today. That's why it's the only chain we can genuinely recommend without hesitation. When you want a burger in Canada, when you want to spend your money on something actually worth it, go to South Street Burger. You won't be disappointed, they deliver every single time. So there you have it, folks, the complete honest truth about burger chains operating in Canada today. Most of them have unfortunately fallen from grace over the years. Most are overpriced or underwhelming, or both. But two chains are getting it absolutely right and delivering value. Hero Certified Burgers and the undisputed champion, South Street Burger Company. These are the two genuinely worth your valuable time and hard-earned money in 2025. Now, we want to hear directly from you, our viewers, in the comments section below. Have you personally tried South Street Burger or Hero Certified Burgers locations? Do you agree with our honest rankings today? Did we miss any important chain you love? Let us know your honest thoughts in the comments below right now. Thanks for watching today, and remember always, life is too short for bad, disappointing burgers. Demand quality, demand value, demand excellence from every burger chain you visit.